In this video, I'm going to share my tips for creating a circuit chart for consumer units. So why do we need a circuit chart for consumer units? Well, I'm going to share an image with you of a nice new Hager consumer unit, and we can see that this consumer unit has just got the labels that comes with the consumer unit. Now these labels, there's nothing wrong with them, they're fine, they're very, very useful. But one problem that I noticed with this particular consumer unit is the circuit breaker on the left hand side of the image that says smoke alarms also does the lighting. Now I think what's probably happened here is maybe the contractor ran out of labels, but also there's not enough space to put the label for both. So this is why I think that it's really important to have circuit charts for consumer units that accurately reflect what the circuit breaker protects, so that it's possible for the end user and any other electricians that may work on the property afterwards to safely identify the circuit. Now you may say that it's necessary for an electrician to use the safe isolation procedure, which is absolutely correct, but it's still necessary to have a circuit chart as well. So in this video I'm going to share my tips, and what I use Microsoft Excel to create circuit charts, and I'm going to share my screen with you now and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. Okay, so here I've got a blank Excel spreadsheet. And so what I'm going to do, the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start by numbering the circuits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type a 1 in there, and then I'm going to click in the bottom corner here where you see the little plus sign, and I'm going to drag all the way down. Now you'll notice on the screen there it says a little 1. Now what that means is it's going to copy that 1 all the way down. So if I press Control at the same time, that's going to follow the series down. So straight away there we've got all the circuit numbers. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to type circuit number. Now one tip that I'll give you that's really, really useful is if you press Control and 1, you'll bring up the, or it should do in a moment, you'll bring up the menu for formatting the cells. And if you go to alignment, you'll see here that what you can do is you can move the text to an angle like so, to 90 degrees. So there we can see that that makes that vertical. And by double clicking on the line at the top there, reduces that down just to the width of the text, which is really, really useful for making this nice and neat. So in the next row, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the BS number, so BSEN, and again what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that 90 degrees and then double click on the line there. And so what that means there is we can type in the BSEN number of the circuit breaker into that row, and I'll actually make that a bit wider so that it's possible to do that. And here what I can do is I can put type, and then next we're going to have the rating in amps, and then we can have breaking capacity, and then finally RCD. Now there's one thing that I've missed on here, which is the circuit description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this along, and then here I'm going to put circuit description, and I'm going to keep that as horizontal, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that center like so, and there we are, and then I'm going to add the borders in there and in here. So what you can see is it's really, really easy once you've got the basic layout to adapt it and modify it however you would like. So what I can do now is I can type in the circuit descriptions. So first of all we've got the hob, then we've got kitchen sockets, then we've got ground floor sockets, then we've got lighting, central heating, vehicle charger, first floor sockets, oven, stroke cooker, lighting, and this is the circuit, the very last one, where it says smoke detectors, but I also know that also does the ground floor lighting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put ground floor lighting and smoke detectors, like so. Now there's one thing that I've missed out there, is that there's a spare way after central heating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it like this. So I can move these down like so by highlighting those rows, clicking there and dragging down. You see that leaves a spare, so I can put spare in there and add another spare at the bottom, and just add the border like so. You can see how easy it is to modify and adapt it and move them around once you've got that basic template there. And the thing that I find really useful about this is that you can save it in the cloud and access it on your phone. One thing that I also used to do is I used to just keep a basic template, and I used to print them out and stick them on the consumer unit itself. On this consumer unit, I noticed that you've got quite a bit of space on the underside of the lid. So what you could perhaps do is get this printed out as a sticker, which is something that I've done before. Send it over to a print shop. One other thing that I'll say is that if you've got a 3-phase consumer unit or distribution board, you can also modify this for that. And so what I would do here, I would move this row over. And so what you could do is you could do L1, L2, L3. And then put the border back in there like that. And so what you would have then is L1, L2, L3, and so I would, in here you can fill the cells with either a colour, or you can put a pattern in there, so you can have this sort of hashing pattern in there. So what you could do is effectively grey out the ways that are not applicable. So you can see there that you put L1, L2 and L3 and so on and so forth. So that's how you can easily change that for a 3-phase consumer unit if you wanted. So one thing that I recommend that you also do is check the orientation of the page. So if you come up here to orientation, you're going to want to make that landscape. And the other thing that you can do to make sure that you only print out the part of the information that you want is that you can highlight the chart like so, and then you can go to print area and then set print area. And so what that will do is that will make sure that when you print it, it only prints this area like so, and so it won't print off like 3 or 4 pages. So that's really useful. So that is how I create circuit charts, really easy with Microsoft Excel. And you can use it like this. You can type it on your computer, or if you don't want to do that, you can just print out the template and write on it by hand when you're on site. I hope you found this video useful. If so, please subscribe and see the link to the other videos on my channel.